All right. So I know that we kind of felt like the running back room is kind of solidified, but we might have something to talk about, ladies. We might have something to talk about, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my channel. It is Mr. Cowboys fan. Before we proceed into this video, of course, leave a like and subscribe. It is I, Mr. Cowboys fan, where we talk about cowboy things. Alright, it's late, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a night owl, and there's always any time to of course, make reports, about, associating with the Dallas Cowboys. You know, we like to call this "Don't Sleep on the Dallas Cowboys" because you really cannot sleep on the Dallas Cowboys because something could happen while you're asleep, overnight, or etc. whatever. Fact of the matter is, though, like I said, it's late. I'm a night owl, and I'm, here putting this video out for you guys. So, pretty much, yeah, we're about 90 minutes in, and I'm finally getting to the point. So the Steelers right now are apparently in a contract dispute of some sorts with Najee Harris right now. Apparently, Najee is been having talks, and whatever about maybe trying to, you know, get extended, but I don't know why, just based off the fact that I feel like, okay, if this was Nick Chubb going off of his first 3 years in the league, going into his contract year, then yes, man, no doubt. But Najee Harris hasn't. Now, granted, I believe he does have three 1,000-yard seasons under his belt, of course, his first 3 seasons in the league. He has some valuable production. But is that production valuable enough for you to want to give him an extension this early? Like, you gotta be special like a Nick Chubb in order to get a contract extension after. Yeah, you have to be real special, your first 3 years if you're trying to get a new extension, going into your contract year, in my opinion. We know at quarterbacks, it happens with them all the time. But wide receivers, running backs, edge rushers, and stuff like that, you gotta be special, and need to be hitting the ground running, from the jump. And I don't know if Najee Harris has truly done that yet. Now, with that being said, um, Najee Harris sent out a message, on something, some sort of, show or whatever. He was basically sending a message, Dallas, come get me, and the thing is, everybody wants to, you know, beat the drum, trying to put in a little sound bite about wanting to come to Dallas. And look, the fact of the matter is, I'm sure that maybe, a lot of players out there probably want to come to Dallas. I'm sure there are a lot of them that would love to come to Dallas, the facilities and, stuff like that. Like, I'm sure a lot of them do. But of course, we all know that the Joneses, they don't like to play ball most of the time. They don't like to play ball, and they don't give you anything realistic, so to speak. They don't give you anything realistic. They will ask you, trust me, if it was possible for the Cowboys, if it was possible for the Joneses to sign you to a 1 year, $1 contract, they would be the first ones in line to want to do that, because they're bargain spending, they're bargain spenders basically. And sadly, that's not what you're going to be able to give to these big time free agents, or even a Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley, running backs that were on the market. Like, you're just not going to get that, you know? No, don't get me wrong. We all, obviously, we know that you're not going to give them a 1 year, $1 contract. But, no, my point was to, I was, of course, like, my point was to over exaggerate, of course, to basically, like, make my point that the Joneses are bargain spenders. Like, they do not like to play ball. They just don't. They don't like to play ball, you know, like, more often than not. I mean, the only time that they will play ball is with their own players that they drafted themselves. And even with that, sometimes it's like pulling teeth. But the fact of the matter is, though, Najee is trying to send a message to the Cowboys, come get me, basically. And the Steelers are currently, it's out there, as far as the Steelers needing to make a decision on Najee Harris, because the fact of the matter is they have another productive running back in Jalen Warren, of course, who is behind Najee Harris, who, I'm not gonna lie, man, from when I was watching Steeler games, last year, there were a multitude of games where it looked like Jalen Warren was getting more carries than Najee was. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, what? Like, don't, like, make no mistake about it. Najee Harris is not a bum by any means. No, he is a really good running back. So, but I feel like the Steelers were just willing to do a little bit of an experiment with Jalen Warren to see if he can do just as well of a job in his running back production as Najee Harris was doing. And to be fair, I think that he did do a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie. I think he did do a solid job, but the fact of the matter is, Najee still finished with over 1,000 yards. Not sure that Jalen Warren did. So, yeah, you got that to think about if you're Pittsburgh. But yeah, they have a decision to make. They either try to see if Najee is willing to, play ball and stay in Pittsburgh, despite the fact that there were many of occasions last year where it felt like he was being underutilized and they were using, Jalen Warren more most of the time. He either plays ball and stays where he's still splitting carries with Jalen Warren, or he tries to see if he can seek out any trade partners, of any kind. And of course, a trade partner that could very well be, you guessed it, that's what this video is about, the Dallas Cowboys. So, of course, we know that if the Dallas Cowboys were to make a move to trade for Najee Harris, like right now, like if they were to make a move to trade for Najee Harris right now, and probably not right now because I don't, know if they would do that right now, but definitely at some point this morning, if they were to, of course, make a move to trade for Najee Harris, then guess what? That would be great. That would shock me. That would shock me indefinitely. But the fact of the matter is, we know it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely. The only thing that would, of course, make this make a little bit of sense is that the Dallas Cowboys, of course, trade, for Najee Harris. I'm thinking you probably could trade a third round pick, for Najee Harris, a third round pick. Like, look, the dude is nice, but I don't think that he's worth a first or a second. He's not that nice. But you could probably trade a third round pick for Najee Harris, possibly. So, yeah, like I said, you could probably trade a third round pick for Najee Harris. With this offensive line, see how much you can get out of Najee Harris in one season, especially just off, carried off the, way of what he's done his first 3 years with 3 1,000-yard seasons under his belt. See what he can do with this Dallas Cowboy offensive line. And, see if he can really start to explode into being that top back in the league. And then you can negotiate, of course, in the off season whether or not you want to pay him or if you want to maybe lay the tag on him. But, it is what it is. That I'm just saying that might be the only scenario where this makes sense. This is a ridiculously longer video than, of course, you guys are used to. So I'm going to try to end this off and make this a little short and sweet. All right, to close out, I would say that Najee Harris would be a brilliant move for us to make. You're talking about a guy who has 3 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. The Steelers might be skeptical on whether they want to keep him or if they want to trade him. That's from what I'm hearing. And Najee is sending the message about come get me. And hey, Dallas, you want to go get him? I would want to go get him. It's not even just what he brings to the table as a runner. Man, forget rushing yards. This guy has proved how valuable and effective he can be out of the backfield over his first 3 years in Pittsburgh, as well as a receiving back. Now, granted, they gave him a lot of swing routes where sometimes the linebacker would be keying in on him, and that would, of course, ruin some of his receiving numbers. But either way, nah, like he is a complete back who can run and catch the ball, and his blocking ain't too shabby either. So, yeah, let me know in the comments, how y'all feel about this, the very unlikely, possibility trade scenario of the Cowboys trading for Najee Harris. I would be very shocked. That would make me fall out my chair, you know, but you know, obviously we know that would be a very brilliant move, and might just very well assure our running back situation if there was any. So, to all my audience and to all of Cowboys Nation, this is Mr. Cowboys fan out.